Thanks, viewers, ladies and gentlemen. This is Addis News Hour with the news. I'm Shifar Alaka. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has paid a visit to Juba, South Sudan. The Prime Minister has discussed bilateral and regional issues with South Sudan President Salva Kiir and the first Vice President Riek Machar. Johannes Fantown has the following story.
Sudan. The Prime Minister and his delegation accorded a warm welcome on his arrival at the Juba International Airport, where he was welcomed by President Salva Kiir Mayardit.
Welcome. How are you? I'm fine.
During his official visit to South Sudan, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed held discussions with President Salva Kiir Mayardit and First Vice President Riek Machar. After the discussions, the representatives of both countries gave briefings to the media, and South Sudan's acting foreign minister said Prime Minister Abiy had a discussion with South Sudan's President Salva Kiir and First Vice President Machar on bilateral and regional issues. The acting minister also said South Sudan values its bilateral relations with Ethiopia.
Prime Minister Abiy was welcomed on his arrival at Juba International Airport by His Excellency President Salva Kiir Mayardit, and the two leaders headed the government secretariat when they held a meeting on bilateral matters with regional dimension, including the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement. Prime Minister Abiy also met His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar, the first Vice President of the Republic of South Sudan. South Sudan values its historic ties with Ethiopia and appreciate Ethiopia's keen interest in its peace and stability.
On the Ethiopian side, the State Minister of Foreign Affairs Misgan Waraga said the leaders discussed bilateral and regional issues. He also expressed Ethiopia's firm position that all problems in South Sudan should be resolved peacefully.
The two leaders exchanged views on issues of bilateral and regional matters of mutual interest. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed also met with the first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar, during the course of his stay in Juba. Ethiopia places a particular importance to the peace and stability of South Sudan and stands committed to a peaceful resolution of issues.
In response to a question raised by the media, the acting minister stated that the leaders have consulted on regional stability and emphasized the great benefits of peace and regional stability for the two countries.
Well, the outcome is what we have read. It was a cordial meeting, very crucial, very important exchange of leaders of our relations. You know it very well. We have the second largest border between us and Ethiopia. And so the outcome, as we have stated here, is regional matters and particularly encouraging the implementation of peace agreement in South Sudan.
Prime Minister Abiy and his delegation returned to Addis Ababa after completing their day-long official visit to South Sudan, and the Prime Minister shared his gratitude for the warm welcome on social media.
Now, Britain reaffirms its commitment to beefing up the historical development relations with Ethiopia. In an interview with ETV, the British ambassador to Ethiopia says his country is very much committed to supporting Ethiopian peace process and homegrown economic reform, among other things. Kasaon Chani reports.
In an exclusive interview with BBC English, Darren Walsh, the British ambassador to Ethiopian permanent representative to the African Union, urged the Ethiopian government to further strengthen the long-standing diplomatic ties between Ethiopia and the UK.
Yes, I had the honour to be received by the Deputy Prime Minister. We had a very positive discussion about the long-standing positive relationship between the United Kingdom and the government of Ethiopia. We talked about some of the current challenges in the country and how we can support the government as it addresses those. And we talked about how to deepen the long-standing partnership and friendship that we have. It's a partnership of mutual respect and trust and confidence. And part of my job here is to make that partnership even stronger. So I had a very positive discussion today, and I'm very much looking forward to taking that work to the next level.
The ambassador also expressed appreciation for Ethiopia's ongoing exhaustive political and economic reforms and stated that his government is willing to endorse Ethiopia's ongoing peace process and economic reform agenda. He further emphasized the need for future trade and investment cooperation to be strengthened.
We're looking to support the government in its work to deepen and strengthen peace in all parts of Ethiopia. That's absolute essential for the further development of the country. We then talk about the economic reform programme that the government has and how the United Kingdom can offer some of its technical assistance and expertise. And we talked about the need for further economic support, how to stabilise the macroeconomy for the long term, how to support the reform programme, and the role that the UK can play in that, including investment. And the United Kingdom has announced that next year there will be an investment summit for Africa, and I offered an invitation today to the Deputy Prime Minister to pass to the Prime Minister, and I'm very hopeful that we will have a strong Ethiopian delegation so the United Kingdom and Ethiopia can deepen their commercial partnerships, and we will see more British investment here in Ethiopia, creating jobs and better livelihoods for people.
Great Britain is among the first countries to open an embassy in Addis Ababa, while Ethiopia was the first African country to establish an embassy in London.
Now, the Ethiopian ambassador to China, Tafarra Darbo, has presented a copy of his credential to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China in Beijing. Ambassador Tafarra expressed his appreciation to the effort exerted to enhance the relationship between the two countries. The government of Ethiopia seeks to further strengthen the bilateral relations with the government of China. That's according to the ambassador.
The 70th Global
It's expected that
Ethiopia is one of Africa's soldiers. Our news is always aired on Monday to Friday on 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. and also on Saturday and Sunday on 9 p.m. Make sure to follow us.
And now moving on, the International Organization for Migration, IOM, says the IGAD member states should design proper policies to respond to migration challenges in the region. The organization says the involvement of human traffickers remains concern for IOM as well as other member states in the respective region. This came in at the 4th Regional Ministerial Forum on Migration that took place in Addis Ababa. Goshu Melissa has that story.
The migration context in the Eastern Horn of Africa region is very complex, full of opportunities but also challenges. The youngest and huge population migrate in the region as well as beyond the region to seek better livelihood for themselves and their family. Government ministers from 11 countries across East and Horn of Africa have convened in Addis Ababa to take part in the 4th Regional Forum that focused on the benefits of migration for sustainable development and economic growth in the region. Briefing journalists, head of migration IOM Ethiopia said IGAD member states should design proper policies to respond migration challenges in the region.
I think all the countries have made tremendous efforts in developing the right policy responses. Ethiopia, as you know, has reformed its regulatory environment across all spheres, including on labor migration, to make it easier for migrant workers to get overseas employment, but also for the government to protect migrant workers once they migrate. Countries like Kenya, for instance, have done a good job in facilitating a whole-of-government approach.
If migration governed well, it will play a crucial role for sustainable development, he said. However, Malando said the involvement of human trafficking remains concern for IOM as well as to member states in the region.
The involvement of people smugglers and human traffickers in facilitating mobility from the region is certainly a huge source of concern for IOM and also for member states of the RMFM. If well governed, migration in the Eastern Horn of Africa region can definitely be an important ingredient, for sustainable socio-economic development for the countries involved.
Ethiopia took over the chairmanship of Regional Ministerial Forum on Migration for East from Kenya. Ministry of Skill and Labor remarked that the forum is a vital platform to share experience among countries.
Fostering labor mobility and protecting the fundamental human, labor and social rights of migrant workers of our East and Horn of Africa region, the RMF a crucial platform for member states to exchange experiences, to collaborate and coordinate on issues of labor mobility and migration governance.
The forum remains active until the 17th of March.
Now, the United Nations World Tourism Organization has selected Ethiopia's Choke Mountains Eco Village as one of the best world tourism village. Choke Mountain is located about 300 kilometers northwest of Addis Ababa in West Gojam zone at Daga Damot district. State Minister for Tourism Seleshi Girma, along with representatives from Choke Mountains Eco Village, has received the award from the organization's Secretary General in Al Ola City, Saudi Arabia. Ethiopia's Choke Mountains Eco Village was selected from more than 50 countries and more than 100 tourism destinations that participated in the competition, it was learned. Moving on, the peace settlement reached between the federal government of Ethiopia and TPLF is dubbed a positive game changer. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees representative in Ethiopia, Mamadou Diambalde, stressed that the UNHCR is keenly supporting the internally displaced people in Ethiopia. Tigasternis has the following report.
Unfortunately, the displacement of human population is not only caused by environmental change, but often occurs because of inequitable social and political systems that do not provide people with protection, food, clean water, and health care. According to Mamadou Diambalde, UNHCR's representative in Ethiopia, for the past 2 years, Ethiopia had a large number of internally displaced people due to multiple factors.
For the past 2 years in particular, we used to have a very large number of internal displacement, people who were displaced because of the conflict, particularly in the northern regions. We have seen several of them returning spontaneously. Others have been helped to return, have been assisted to return, including by UNHCR, with some limited support, but support that is very meaningful to the people who have returned. And yes, there are people who still cannot return, and for those ones we need to find ways. We need to help them with shelter, with food, with protection services. At such a time there are solutions for them to return.
The representative went on saying that UNHCR, in collaboration with multiple other actors, is working its level-based in support of the internally displaced persons.
About 10 days ago we were helping a group of close to 10,000 people return in the Afar region. These are all people legacies of the past year of conflict. These are really due to the man-made type of events. Now you have people who have also displaced because of the drought, and yes, there are many of them, we as part, UNHCR as part of the UN family with NGOs, international NGOs, we are working closely also with the EDRMC, with several other institutions in support of the internal displacement.
He further indicated that the peace settlement reached between the Ethiopian federal government and TPLF is such a positive game changer.
So we have seen, and this is really a very positive development. It's a development that is a game changer. And yes, the situations are very, 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 I think, diverse. But in all of them, the ultimate goal is to be able to help that brother and sister to really resume normal life. So in a nutshell, displacement, yes, some of them man-made. The peace agreement is a game changer. We need to capitalize on it. We are capitalizing on it. You have issues like climate change, impact through drought, that are very difficult, unfortunately, to look at. But in all of these responses, as part of the international community, we're using lenses that are towards solutions, towards resilience, and working also with the government entities as well as development actors.
Recently, Somali region of Ethiopia hosted almost 100,000 refugees from neighboring Somaliland fleeing fighting there. Before the arrival of the Somaliland refugees, Ethiopia, with a population of about 120 million, was already hosting more than 880,000 refugees, mostly from South Sudan, Somalia, Eritrea, and Sudan, according to the UNHCR.
I just want to tell you guys, Akwaba, Karibu, welcome to Ghana!
My name is Princess Umu Hatia. I am the globe-trotting princess and author. Welcome to my city, Accra. Accra is the capital of Ghana. Now today I'm taking you on a tour to various places in the city. We're currently at the Independence Square in Accra. Now, the Independence Square is the second largest square in the world after Tiananmen Square. Accra has about 4 million people. Accra is a major economic trading hub of Ghana. We're in Makola Market. Makola Market is the second largest market in West Africa. This is where I come to buy all my fabrics, food stuff. It's a busy, bustly place. It's a lovely place to come. So if you want to get any souvenirs, Makola Market is the place to come. Now, come on with me. Akwaba, Akwaba.
You're still watching Addis News Hour, and thank you so much for being with us. Moving on, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is going to visit Ethiopia and Nigeria this week, and President Joe Biden is also expected to travel to Africa later this year. The U.S. Vice President is also expected to spend a week in Africa at the end of March, and the United States deepens its outreach to the continent amid global competitions. Abtamo Shagri has more.
The U.S. Vice President spokesperson Kristen Allen statement said the U.S. senior government officials trip will strengthen the U.S. partnership throughout Africa and advance their shared efforts on security and economic prosperity. Harris' planned follow visit by First Lady Jill Biden and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is going this week, and President Joe Biden is expected to travel to Africa later this year. However, Harris will be closely watched as the first black vice president in U.S. history and the first woman to hold the position. She plans to be in Ghana from March 26 to 29, then in Tanzania from March 29 to 31st. Her final stop is Zambia on March 31st and April 1st. Harris has a personal connection to Zambia on her itinerary. Her maternal grandfather worked in Zambia years ago, and she visited him there a young girl.
I strongly believe that the creativity and ingenuity of Africa's young leaders will help us shape the future of the world, and that their ideas, your ideas, and innovations and initiatives will benefit the entire world. The Biden-Harris administration intends to be right there alongside you, these young leaders, knowing it is the spark and determination of young people that will drive and move us forward.
During the summit, Harris said
The U.S. administration will be guided not by what U.S. can do for Africa, but what American can do with Africa. Allen said the Vice President's agenda will include promoting democracy, climate adaptation, women economic empowerment, and food security. Rezad is meeting the presidents of each of the 3 countries she is visiting. Harris plans to talk with young leaders, business representatives, entrepreneurs, and members of the African diaspora, Allen said. The White House's concerted outreach to the continent began with the US-Africa Leaders Summit, which is hosted in December. China has invested heavily in Africa, but Washington is pitching itself as a better partner than Beijing.
There's no one model of good governance. There's no one model for how to build strong institutions. I think we have to be informed by each other. We have to be informed by local conditions, local needs. And from the perspective of the United States, this is also not about a competition with others. This is not about saying to our friends and partners, you have to choose. This is about offering a genuine choice, offering a genuine partnership, and hopefully together building a race to the top, not a race to the bottom.
Although competition between the US and China has been the backdrop of much American foreign policy, the Democratic administration is trying to calibrate its approach to Africa so leaders on the continent don't feel as tough they are being caught in the middle of a geopolitical contest. A senior administration official stresses that the White House wants to put forward an affirmative agenda that incorporates concerns about China and ripple effects from Russia war in Ukraine, but isn't dominated by them.
And finally, Pan-African Network Conference on Fighting Illicit Financial Flows in Africa will be held themed from words to actions in Tunisia next week. The overall objective of the conference is to take stock of the best practices and relevant continental-wide initiatives undertaken by the African Union Commission and other illicit financial flows, stakeholders and partners in response to the Thabo Mbeki report findings and recommendations in combating the issues in Africa. The conference is also expected to design an inclusive illicit financial flows continent-wide platform aligned with the Agenda 2063 and SDGs 2030, as well as discuss the appropriate multi-stakeholders follow-up mechanism that will ensure monitoring and follow-up of agreed recommendations and policies. And finally, a quick recap of the top stories. Ethiopia and South Sudan discuss issues of common concern. And